All right. Woo. Look. I got that wow. Who wants some hands up right now? We got that. Turn it up loud. I know you're wondering how. I got that wow. Here I go, coming. I can't ever stop. I'm a tour de force running. Get me to the top. I don't need a.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Three Cocktails In. We are the Three Cocktails checking in.
We are.
Hello.
And you know what's funny about tonight? I usually have a cocktail and I'm drinking Fresca. I know Kitty won't have a cocktail, and I think Amy, aren't you drinking Diet Coke?
I'm drinking caffeine-free Diet Coke, so I think mine is the least cocktail that one could get.
Are.
Well, mine is Propel water.
Oh,
so,
well, not plain water. Yeah. Oh, wow, we're hitting hard. That's for sure.
Hey, it's Wednesday night. It's a school night.
It is Wednesday. I had a margarita. We went out for Mexican, so I already had a margarita. So
Oh, yum.
it was
Nice.
Very good.
Mm.
It's not
Mexican-
even Taco Tuesday.
No.
Taco Tuesday. Is that a good segue?
good. Is it?
Sure.
What are we
It
talking
is.
about that has to do with tacos?
We're jumping right into it, I guess. Okay. Okay, our topic tonight is we are talking a little bit about luck, habit, and superstition. And this just kind of came up in casual conversation with us. And I think, as we grow up and we move into adulthood, and we can get very set in our ways. And I think we find that we do things the same way over and over again. And I got to thinking, so I have these quirky things that I do. Is that normal? Do other people do this? Why do I do it?
No, it's not normal, Kitty. It's you.
Why do I feel uncomfortable if I, think, oh, I'm going to do it differently this time? Then I'm like, no, I can't do that because it works out. Oh my gosh, it's too much. It's too much. So we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight.
Yeah, and that's what I mean by Taco Tuesday.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
Tuesdays. On Tuesday, you have tacos.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Well, so
I don't know. I could have
Yeah.
tacos in it.
yeah, same. And we, in this house, we have always had tacos on Monday night, like for years.
Oh,
No fail. Monday night, we have tacos.
See? What happens if you switch it up?
Bo gets grumpy.
then if you do you then have tacos on Tuesday, or do you just skip it and have the next Monday? You know what I mean? You have to have the tacos.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. So, okay, let's start with just a kind of a general question here related to luck. Do you believe in luck, or do you think that we create our own luck?
I do think that preparation, being well prepared for situations you're in, can make it seem like when a good outcome happens that you got lucky.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that your preparation ahead of time.
Yeah.
I
I
think
agree.
you then don't have to worry about you don't have to be so rigid in your focus in that moment, because you've gone through it so many times that then you're a little bit more spontaneous and it goes the way you wanted. It can come off feeling lucky.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yep, I agree. If we're talking specifically about, like winning the lottery or things like that, I think two things about it. I think you could play once and you could get lucky and win it. I also think the more you play, in theory, have a better chance at winning lottery, right? Or even winning at, blackjack or in the casino. The more you play, you're gonna win something eventually. Um, but I also think you could drop a quarter in some machine
Mhm.
and phew,
Yeah.
win a bunch. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It just takes so.
Yeah.
So I think it
Have
still
you?
has to do with luck. A lot of
Yeah.
luck.
Have you guys ever had something happen to you in your life where you've thought, I am so lucky, or that was so lucky, or that was just something that was just so big and amazing, and truly chalk it up to luck?
I remember finding money as a kid.
Mm.
You know, you'd find a random $5 bill that obviously came out of somebody's pocket in Target or something, or
Yeah.
the grocery store, and there is nobody around. There's nobody in the aisle. It's not like
Hmm.
they just dropped it and you kept it. I
Hmm.
remember thinking that I was the luckiest person in the world.
Hmm. That's, that's a great memory.
I inherited, I'm sure you guys know this story, but as an adult, married, my great aunt Zira passed away. No, she moved into the nursing home at like age 97. She went to the nursing home. Evidently, I was the only one that quilted, and she was a big quilter. So my aunt Arlene, and my dad, I don't know who did it exactly, but I got one of those lawn leaf bags of quilt notions, the old chocolate candy boxes, you
Hmm.
know, full of bobbins, and then a whole bunch of manila envelopes with pattern, like template pieces. And so I'm at mom and dad's, Kevin's there, we're going through it, and I'm like, oh, look, the daisy chain. Oh, look, this. Oh, look, a wad of cash. And I pull out this wad of cash, and it's hundreds. And I'm
Oh,
counting it out, and
Oh my
you know,
god.
it was actually, it was probably 50s because I had to count quite a bit. And it turned out to be something like $750 or something. You would have thought my dad was like Stretch Armstrong, because from like 10 feet away, his hand comes reaching over and grabs that money out of my hands and is like, that is not for you.
Oh.
Right?
oh.
Right? So on the way home, I'm driving home with this big bag of quilt pieces and no cash. And Kevin goes, you just had to go through all the pieces in front of your mom and
Right.
dad.
Right. If you'd have
Oh
waited
my.
till you got home, nobody'd have known.
Right? So
Okay,
lucky and then unlucky in snap.
Yeah.
that's not right.
Yeah, tell Fred. I did remind him often. He's gone. But, you know, but that, to me, that felt very lucky.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hmm. Wow. I just remembered that years ago. So I mean, it was within the last 20 years because we were in this house, and at one point we'd been up at Home Depot, and Bill had filled in. They were doing a giveaway for something, so he'd filled out one of the little cards and popped it in, and we got a call from Home Depot said you won this Ryobi. It was massive. So Ryo, am I saying that right?
I don't know
R
what that
Y
is.
O
Asking
B
me.
I. It's a brand of power tools,
No.
and so we went, and Bill was just like, "What?" Because he knew what it was. So we went up there, and it was this giant bag, like rolling bag, and stuffed full of power tools.
Wow.
I mean, it was probably $1,000 worth of tools. That would be like us winning like a bag, this size full of Tiffany.
Mhm.
um,
I would take a
so
bag this size full of
Right.
Tiffany.
Me too.
right. So he was ecstatic, and that would be a time that I think he would say that was pure luck, because it is. You're getting your name pulled out of something
Yeah.
that was just pure luck, and it's
Yep.
just so nice to have those random moments in life where you feel like you were anointed. It's your time.
Yeah.
Exactly. And also inspiring to keep doing that activity.
Yeah, yeah.
So does he fill out the card on everything now?
I don't see him do it on everything, but he chooses the things that he's like, okay, that would be worth it. Okay, yeah, that would be worth it.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it
Cool.
doesn't take very long. Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, I don't consider myself a lucky person, honestly. Because there's no winning things, and now you know what I mean.
But you don't consider yourself an unlucky
Oh
person, do
no,
you?
no.
Okay.
I would not say I'm unlucky either. No, just kind of
Mhm.
average, just about like everything. Pretty average. Pretty average.
Yeah.
You're not average. There's
Oh,
nothing
yeah.
average about you,
Oh, you've
Stacy.
never heard me say that I'm pretty average at everything. I can do about everything, but I'm really average at it. I'm not very good at anything. I'm not below average. Pretty
You're
average.
such a goof.
Pretty steady.
So, on that note, do we know people who say they have bad luck?
Mm.
Is if you believe in being lucky, do you also believe in people having bad luck?
Mhm. I mean, I certainly hear people say that, and sometimes people just say it in jest. They'll just say, "Oh, with my luck," right? I
Yeah.
feel like we hear people say that all the time, and I think that's a sign of the person really kind of feeling like, well, I never win anything,
Right.
um, and that I always feel bad when I hear people say that. It kind of makes
It
me
comes
sad.
back to mindset.
Yeah, it's a
Hmm.
mindset thing.
Yeah.
Woe is me, poor me, because this happened. And, the rest
Uh-huh.
of us just, whatever. It
Yeah.
happened and you're over it. I wouldn't call it the reason some things happen because you're unlucky. They just kind of happen. Yeah.
Hmm.
Rando things happen.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Got to go with the flow. Okay, so if we think about the topic of superstition, so the relationship to me, I feel like I can influence some things if I wear the same. Okay, I had a really good show that night. I know what shirt I was wearing. I'm going to wear that again.
Oh.
Or so I use a text alert system. So before I go live, I send a text alert to people who are signed up for text alerts, and I every once in a while will change the little emoji that I use on it. And there have been a couple times that I've had a little bit of a show that wasn't quite as good as some of the other ones. And my little brain thinks you changed the emoji on your text
Yeah.
thing. So
I'm
now,
sure that was it. It was the emoji.
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of like people that are, fans of a football team or a baseball team or whatever, always wear the same shirt, the same hat, the same
yeah,
socks, and whatever the thing is, or watch it in the same place, or to help. I don't think that does squat. So I'm
I
kind of
think it comes
poo-pooing,
back to
poo-pooing your emoji on your message. I don't think
I
that's it.
think it comes back to mindset. So athletes are notoriously superstitious.
Yeah,
hmm they are.
Oh, superstitious. Again, my sister Anne in high school, I mean, she's still a beautiful vocalist. She sang the national anthem for the hockey team. They won that game. They said, Anne, you got to come back. You got to sing the national anthem. She ended up having to sing the national anthem so many times in a row because they kept winning. And that was
Oh,
part of it. They didn't want to jinx it, you
oh my
know?
gosh.
And,
Yeah.
and so I think that that's funny. But if that's what makes you feel comfortable so
Hmm.
that you can be free flowing and in
Yes.
the moment again,
Yep. I agree. I agree. They
if
needed to
if
know.
you yes, if you're the one that is participating and have the what do I want to say? So I don't think a baseball fan wearing an outfit has anything to do with the baseball team playing. Now, in your case, where the hockey team wanted her to sing, that's different. They think that's that's their mindset, and didn't do anything You know,
No.
does that make sense?
You mean
know,
she didn't have a magical voice that cast a
Mm,
spell
well,
like Ariel, the
I'm sure
mermaid?
she did. But, you know, if they wouldn't have known it, it wouldn't have been her, you know, juju to, you know, help them win. You know what I mean? They
But
had
they,
mind. Yeah.
but they did know that she was singing, and so they
Yes.
went into that game with more confidence, and
Yes.
True.
and that's
Absolutely.
what won the game.
That's the
Yep.
difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Maybe.
Now, I don't necessarily consider myself superstitious,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not walking under ladders. I remember as a very small child not stepping on any cracks so I didn't break my mother's back.
I bet you did accidentally.
Well, it wasn't without cause.
Yeah. Right.
You know, when you're little.
Yes.
I'm gonna step on a crack.
Yeah. I'm gonna go step on a crack. Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, those are the long-standing superstitions. Definitely.
Yep.
All right, so Miss Catherine,
Yeah.
what else are you superstitious about?
Um. What?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I just in general, I find that I will follow the same process or the same procedures and try not to vary things
Mm.
that are related to, you know, things that I'm particularly like I need this to go this way. I was using the example of the shirt. I don't
Yep.
necessarily do that. It's a good example, but I don't really do that. But I don't know. I kind of do everything in general the same way.
Yeah, right.
If things have gone well, if they haven't, I'm fine blowing the whole system up.
Yeah.
Right. But then that doesn't that move towards habit? I mean, aren't you forming good habits or processes or,
Mhm.
you know,
Yes, that's a way to make me feel good about my neuroses.
yes, right?
I
Yeah.
have one that has nothing to do with process. But when I don't do it, it makes me uncomfortable.
Okay.
And so it's totally appropriate because we just posted something that said Stacy and I are going on vacation. And one of the things, you know, I've been the travel agent for my family, always booking flights, all that. I always book seats as you're looking at the airplane on the right-hand row of the airplane. I cannot tell you. Matter of fact, Kitty, when we went to Vegas last year and somebody else bought our tickets, I moved us.
I do recall that, yes.
Okay,
That's right.
because okay, that's interesting. I can understand. Like when I go to book tickets, I would say most of the time I'm looking on the right, but if the same seat is on the left, that doesn't bother me at all. But why would you, even when someone else does it, need to be on the right side?
No rationale to it. And this is where we get into one of those things that, you know, maybe I don't think about it as being superstitious, but I just know that there is a comfort for me
Mhm.
on the right-hand side, on picking the right-hand side.
So yeah, the key here is that there's no specific reason,
Right. Correct.
right? Nothing has ever happened, nothing. Okay. It's a comfort. That's what you've always done.
Yes.
What would happen if you couldn't sit on the right side? Everything was booked and you had to sit on the other side. What would happen?
Well, I do it because I still want to go on the trip. I just would feel generally, I mean, it hasn't happened in a million years. So, I don't know. I mean, I'd do it. Of course I would do it. I wouldn't feel like anything bad was going to happen. It just would feel really awkward.
Yeah.
Really, really
Yeah.
awkward.
It's more like you're used to the other side.
And I don't know when it started because I don't think it's always been that way. You know, I don't think that, I don't know. If somebody wants to book me on first class, I will sit on the left-hand side.
Right. Only if it's
That would
first.
make it okay.
Yes.
I'll
Right.
take a one for the team.
Yeah. So I was thinking about different, things I feel like I have to do, habits or processes at work that I have to do, right? And so I've sometimes I'll joke that, I'm OCD, but that shouldn't be a joke because it's a lot different than what most of us actually have. So, and I looked up what's the difference. So, habits are generally manageable and often beneficial. So, you think, whether right or wrong, honestly, you think it's beneficial, where compulsive behaviors are driven by anxiety and can be distressing and disruptive. So, it'd be more like, you just can't, you're so anxious about something, you have to do something a certain way, whereas, just a habit is a habit. And my funny one is at work, and my boss one time, well, two times I think now, he's kind of made fun of me, but I have this bookshelf, right? Big tall bookshelf, has like six shelves. It goes to the ceiling. And one, two, three, four of the shelves have binders, right? So they have binders, and there's contracts in half of them. There's, historical bids going for 20 years in one shelf, and just some different things on the rest. They're all white. They all have a nice blue paper label going this way, because so the words go to this way, right? And they're all just lined up, blah blah blah, right? And so he's made fun of it, like, like, oh my gosh, that's, too neat and too put together, and too organized, whatever. So that's my thing. Everything has to be look the same, facing the same way. You know what I mean? Nice, tidy, neat. So there you go. Is that a problem, or is that just a nice, organized habit?
So the question becomes, and this is just like, I got to put this down. This is just like when you ask me if I sit on the other side, what happens if somebody takes it out and just puts it back any
Right.
which way?
Which does happen, because I don't file stuff in everything anymore. Somebody else will do it. I'll change it. I won't have to that minute, but I'll change it. Like if, if one would be upside down the other way, which it could be, you could still read it. I'll eventually change it. Yeah. Yeah. Just because, I don't know. See, like I said, that sounds very OCD. Am I anxious about it, or, can't function not the right way? No. If somebody put a purple label in, would it be irritating? But would I,
I would change the label.
Oh, I would eventually.
I would change
Sure.
the label.
Oh, I would eventually. Yeah. But, yeah. So weird things like that, I'm sure. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure people think it's weird, but whatever.
Well, they have their own weird things too, right?
Yes, that is right. Everybody probably does. Yep.
Everybody has their weird things.
Yep.
I noticed, and I've done this for years. I've noticed. I mean, talk about quirky things. So when I go up or down stairs, I count the steps. Do you guys do that? Does everybody?
Yes.
Please tell me everybody does that.
I do that. Yep.
Every single time.
A lot.
Every time. Even here in my house, I know there are 8 steps that go from the living room upstairs. There are 8 steps that go from the kitchen downstairs. I know how many steps there are, and I count
But you
them.
still count them. Do you count
And
them so on the 8th one you know you're at the end, or you just count them? For no reason?
I think I'm just counting them because I do it anywhere. I could be at the mall taking the steps. I could be at the airport. It doesn't matter where it is. I will count the steps. Amy, do you do the same thing?
I do. Yep.
Every time, every steps, every staircase.
And weirdly, I don't do it when I'm walking flat.
Right.
I
Same.
don't count the number of
Steps
steps
only.
from the elevator to my home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steps only.
Every time. Wow. What happens on an escalator? Are you confused? You just say one. Just one.
No, there's no counting on the escalator.
Okay, I was just checking. It looks like steps, but it would just be one. Maybe it's two. Is the escalator really actually two? I don't know. Oh, shoot.
Oh, that is funny.
Yeah, that's interesting. So we need to research why is that? Because
Yeah.
that's an interesting one. Especially where you have to. I can see once in a while, but if you do it every single staircase,
Mhm.
that's interesting to me.
God, I'm so glad to know that at least two of the three of us do that.
You're not the only weirdo.
Not the only one.
What
Yeah.
else? That's a good one.
Mm-hmm. So I have a little. Do you guys know what the origin is of knocking on wood?
No.
Okay, so whenever you hear, somebody says something and they don't want to jinx it, say knock on wood. This superstition comes from ancient pagan cultures who believed spirits lived in trees. Knocking on wood was a way to call upon them for protection or for good fortune.
Those
Oh,
pagans have all sorts of really good, helpful hints.
for sure.
When to plant, when to sow, when to bring the spirits.
Yeah.
How do they know they were only getting good spirits and not bad ones? That's interesting.
Oh,
I wonder where they
didn't
thought
they
the
wear
bad
like
ones
the evil eye to ward them off?
lived. Oh,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
that's interesting.
Lucky versus unlucky numbers. So 13 is always lucky. 13 is unlucky. 7 is right. So in many Western cultures, the number 7 is considered lucky, while 13 is unlucky. However, in China, 8 is lucky because it sounds like wealth, and 4 is unlucky because it sounds like death. So it doesn't really explain why luck or bad luck has been attached to those numbers, but for China it does. I don't speak Chinese, so I don't know those words.
I don't have lucky numbers.
I don't either. Mm-mm.
So if I win the lottery, it truly will be a lucky circumstance because I've not picked the numbers.
Right.
Just saying.
Yeah. I would think that if you're picking the numbers, your odds would be even less. I don't know. If you're picking the numbers,
That's a good question. I think if you're picking the same numbers all the time, like if you always pick your birthdays or I don't know, kids' birthdays, I don't know, and playing the same number all the time, I think those odds would be greater that you'd win. But what do I know? You just let them random pick. Again, I think you have the same. You probably have the same odds either way. I don't know.
have you guys
I
ever
wouldn't
won? Okay, do you play the lottery? Either
No.
of you? Ever? Scratch off tickets?
Pull tabs.
Pull tabs?
I like a good pull tab.
Yeah,
But
We
I will
just
tell you,
scratch
with
off. Occasionally.
Okay,
Yeah. Go ahead.
I don't think pull tabs are quite as heavily leaning towards luck because by law they have to put up there what the winnings are and you can see how many have been scratched off and you can look at how many are left in the basket. So to me there's a little bit it's not just straight up luck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
there's hardly any left in the basket and there's majority of the prize winnings are still
Sure.
I'm playing
Then
those.
you'd play. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a little different. Yep.
Not done scratch offs.
No. Do you know people who have won the lottery?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
My aunt who has passed away, I think she won it 3 times. Like maybe
Wow.
10,000 the first time, maybe like 50,000 the second time, and then she was in a pool with some other coworkers and they won a couple 100,000 split amongst them.
Wow.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be cool, but again, you have to play to win. You can't win if you're not
Right.
going to play. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think
You
there are
miss
people that
100% of the
play.
shots you don't take.
Uh-huh. That is true.
Don't you love that? Let's get back
Yeah.
to sports.
Yeah.
That is true.
Um, hmm. So, well, I guess in general on this topic, the habits, and I can't. One of you said this basically a little bit earlier. If you're doing something over and over again and it's producing positive results,
Right.
you're just kind of continue. You're getting better at things, and I think this is what they call keystone habits. So there are these habits that actually end up creating positive results in other parts of your life. So, like exercise would be one of those. So, if you decide, okay, I'm in really bad shape, I'm going to start exercising. So, you start exercising. And so, not only do you improve your health, but you also improve your mindset, your social life, your, other things. Um, So I guess just on the topic, I am going to look at these things more as these are habits of mine,
Mhm.
and these are habits. They're not weird. They might be quirky, but as long as they're working, this is a
Right.
good thing.
So we're going to come back and ask you how many times you've switched up your emojis on your text to see if there's one emoji that is a better habit than another emoji. Maybe it's the fact that you put an emoji in the text
Oh,
that's the good habit.
oh my gosh. Well, okay, what am I going to do with that? Stacy, are you on text alerts? Because I
Yeah.
think you are. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I get them. And I never pay attention to the emoji. I'll tell you that. I just thought, oh, yeah, there's a show today. You know what I mean? I guess,
Yeah.
I don't know. But I open it and look at it, but I guess I've
So
never
here's what's funny. So
based
if
on
you,
the emoji.
yeah, and I don't know if you delete those or not. So let's just say that you didn't. If you don't delete those, you could go and you could look at the whole,
Mhm.
the progression of them, and you can see when the emoji changes, and know, ooh, she was
I know,
in
it's
the
good to know
mood
now.
that day.
Yeah, it's good
She
to
was
know.
not happy with that show.
So if I reply to that, are you going to get the reply or does it go to who knows where?
I do get the reply. Yeah.
I'll start replying and say, oh, I don't know. I didn't like this. I'm not watching this show. The weird emoji.
Well,
Don't
that's
use that emoji again.
Don't use that one. That's not going to get you any people, any viewers. That's funny. So what else? It can't just be that. It can't just be those things. Are there any other funny things we do?
Well, I mean, I think we all have a lot of habits
Mhm.
that are just the default. The habit becomes default
Yeah.
for no apparent reason.
Right. And like we said, if it's working, then it must be a good habit. I read somewhere where there's passive habits like brushing your teeth. You're always going to brush your teeth, right? It obviously is good, but do you really think of it like, oh, I'm making a choice today? No, it's just a habit. It's in your routine. You
Mhm.
just always do it. Other things might be harder and I can't remember the word. I don't know what the other word was besides passive. What other kind of habit that you really have to make a conscious effort to, to do? And exercise would fall in that. Um, things like that, where you have to make more of an effort to include that habit.
What side of the bed do you guys sleep on?
As you're facing the bed?
As you're facing the bed.
Yeah. I'm a right.
Okay. I'm a left. Amy's a middle.
No, I'm not a middle. I'm weirdly I'm not a middle. But I told you guys my approach to
Yeah,
this.
she
I
does
have
both.
a king
Yeah.
size bed.
Yeah.
I really do sleep on one half. And as a matter of fact, I sleep really close to the edge of the bed because I
Yeah.
like to always have my feet out.
Mhm.
So the other half of the bed, totally clean. So I switch and then sleep on the other side. So I don't have to change
I
my
think that makes perfect sense to me because I don't, and then I thought maybe your next question was going to be, do you have to sleep on that side? Like when we go to hotels or somewhere
Yeah.
else, it
Yep.
makes no difference to me. I can sleep on either side. I'm just like that. I don't do a lot of moving. I'm right at the edge of the bed and, and it really doesn't make any difference which side.
Yeah.
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 How about when you go to a restaurant? Can you sit with your back to the door?
I have to because Bill insists that he has to see the door.
Yep. Yeah. So it doesn't bother me. I can.
Mhm.
Yeah. I just know that about Barney too. He'll want to, so I just sit in the other spot.
Mhm. What about you, Amy?
This person that I've been seeing is such a gentleman. He always says, "Where would you like to sit?" And I'm always like, "I want to see what's going on in the room." So I always sit with my back to the wall. Not because I want to see the door, but I love looking around. So that this poor man always ends up sitting with his back and only being able to look at me or the two people next to us.
Right? Poor guy. Oh well.
Meanwhile,
Bless his heart.
you're watching basketball.
Now, if that's something that's on, we will sit at the bar so we can both see what's going on. Yeah. And but I don't feel anxious if I sit on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine. That
Doesn't
isn't
really
one of those
matter.
things. Not going to die on a hill for that one.
Mhm. Yeah.
I have another little quirky one. And
Okay.
Kitty, you probably might remember this. Whenever I go for a walk or a drive, I go in a circle. I need to make a loop that connects. I cannot stand walking out somewhere and turn around and walking back.
Hmm.
That feels
Okay.
that doesn't feel right. Correct. That doesn't feel comfortable.
Okay.
I much prefer to walk in a loop. All those
Okay.
walks we went on, always
Yeah.
a loop.
Always a loop. That's right.
Always a loop.
So you can't just walk to the end of the road and then come back and that be it. You know what I mean? It has to be where you can go around the block and get back to the same spot.
Yes.
In other words.
Yes.
You feel like it's because you're not making the most of the walk? Like you're
I feel
seeing
like
the
I already
same
saw
things
that.
twice? Yeah.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
It's like back to my airplane thing because if I always sit on the right, I get to see both sides. I get to see the view out of both sides of the trip.
Well, you kind of do. Yeah. Yeah.
People have a lot of funny superstitions about flying.
Yes. Yeah. I used to have to get a visual on the pilot. I used to travel
Oh.
a ton for work. And so every time I would get on, before I would turn right to go into the cabin, I would take a look left, and the door to the cockpit was usually open, and I would have to see the pilot. And what I needed to see was an appropriate amount of gray hair.
Oh, that's what I was gonna want. So if he looked 12, you were gonna get right back off? I mean, what
No.
would happen if that would be the
I
case?
wasn't going to be happy about it.
Oh. You were just gonna sit
It would just
all
make
nervous
it would make me uncomfortable. And then the best of the best was when you get a bonus pilot. So you've got a pilot who's just flying home somewhere. And because then you're like, okay, well, if something bad does happen up there,
Oh.
that guy's gonna know what to do.
He could take over.
Yeah. Yeah.
I suppose. Yeah.
So that was always good.
Hmm.
But yeah, I was fairly neurotic about that. And see, this now just came to me. And also, and I would always fly with a coworker. We'd get to the airport. We have to go to Caribou. We have to get a coffee, the same kind of coffee every time, and no matter what time of the day it was that we were flying. We had to get a coffee, and we did that for the safety of everyone on that airplane.
Oh, good. Good. Okay.
You guys, we talked about this a little bit when we were throwing around this idea about church and how if you went to church for a long time, you always sat in the same spot in church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't have our name on a plaque on that
No.
part of the bench, but nobody else sat there.
Yeah. And if somebody
Maybe that's
did,
what got
you
it.
walked up like, what are you doing? You know, you didn't say anything, but it was like, what are you doing in my pew?
Interestingly enough, we always sat on the left side of the
No.
church, which when I took my kids to church, we also sat on the left side of the church.
I've always been a right sitter. Right side.
Now, I will tell
no
you,
sense.
the church, the church that I grew up in Wilmer, and the church that we took our kids to, they had windows along the left side of the church. And in Wilmer, there are these gorgeous stained glass windows. So I always felt like if the kids, or if, you know, when we were there, if we were zoned out, at least we had these beautiful stained glass windows to look at. The other side just had this large brick wall. There was no daydreaming with that large brick wall. And so I did the same thing with our kids. They had more windows on the left, and I tried to push us up towards a little bit towards the front so they could at least see what was going on outside, in hopes that I could keep them, you know, occupied. So what else has everybody got? I can't wait. I hope people let us know what their odd quirks are.
I do too. Would love to hear.
Let us know. Send us messages, drop comments on the post when this drops on Facebook. We would love to know that we're not the only ones that are a little.
Yeah, especially if you count your stairs.
Yes, please let us know.
Yeah. We need to take a poll and figure out the percentage of the people that actually do that. So right now we're.
I think I read that
One.
people who count stairs are brighter.
Highly
Probably.
intelligent.
Oh,
Don't.
yes.
They're high
No.
achieving individuals.
No, I'm thinking the people that are smart don't need to count them. They're there. You don't need to count them. They're not going to change.
Fine.
All right. Let's wrap this. I have a couple things to share that I can share real quick.
Ooh, you got shots?
You got shots.
Did you guys happen to catch Oprah's menopause special?
No, but I've been watching reels, and I want to watch it. My favorite, Dr. Mary Claire.
Yep.
Was
on it. Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Yes.
she was on it, and it's been fun to kind of watch her socials too, because this has been huge exposure for her. This will be life-changing for her career.
Since we started following her socials have gone bananas. Just huge.
And so this is going to be
well, if
just
we
a
hadn't talked about it, I thought I might have mentioned it, but I'm going to mention again. When we first started this, we kept, Googling or, doing AI searches for what topics would women of our age want to blah, blah, blah. And number one was always menopause. And we've steered clear of that topic, not because we're necessarily afraid of it or, don't want to talk about it. We just don't feel like we're very, medically qualified to have a lot of say about it. So we've just stayed away from it. But there's lots of resources today. Yeah. I thought it was interesting. Did you know Halle Berry did her, I blanked. Amy, what did you get Alex for Christmas? That,
masterclass.
Masterclass. Halle Berry did a masterclass on menopause. I thought that was an interesting flex for her to go that direction for a masterclass. So there you go.
Yeah. So she was on it. She was one of the guests on the Oprah special. So I feel like this is the best advice that we can give on this topic. That that will be a great resource. You can catch it in replay. I'm sure that it's available. And
It's on one of the streaming services.
yeah, it's got to be.
Yep.
So that's really good.
Cool.
And then I want to show you my latest Amazon find.
Oh. Oh, is that a chicken shredder?
No, it looks
Is
like
it?
it.
What is
This is a microwave popcorn popper. So
Oh.
you guys know how much I love popcorn.
Oh,
Have
yes.
always loved popcorn. I could eat popcorn every day, and I don't because I don't buy microwave popcorn. When I make it on the stove, so it's oil and butter, and it's not good for you. So I stumbled upon this. So it's just a silicone thing basically, and it flattens down. So when you go to use it, you just pop it open like this. There's 2 lines in here for the size, or for your fill lines. So if you just want a small batch, you just put it in there. If you want a bigger batch, you put it here. You put your little silicone thing on, it fits down in it, and it pops. And I've made this, and you know how you just wait until it starts to slow down. I have had no burns. I have had minimal unpopped kernels. And it's basically like air popped popcorn. And then I put butter on it. I have to have butter on my popcorn, but I don't have all the oil that I was having before. And I also don't have a big mess.
So what brand is that? Because I did buy the Pop one.
Oh yeah, I saw that one. This is Popco. You can barely see the logo over here, but just on Amazon, Popco microwave popcorn, and there were lots of options. So I looked at them all, and this was cheap. I don't remember how much it was. $12, $15, something like that.
Cool.
Right, and then it just collapses down, so it goes into your cabinet like this.
Yeah.
Love it.
Cool.
Now I'm hungry for popcorn.
I know. I
I'm
think
sorry.
I'll go make popcorn.
I might go make some too.
There we go.
Cool. Amy, do you have a shot? I've got nothing.
I don't today.
I don't
Nothing.
need- I can't remember the last time I had a shot. I need to pay more attention and plan ahead, right? Make
It's
it a
been
habit.
parade of homes, and my brain has been,
Yeah.
I have been fried. I did absolutely nothing today but dink around on the computer because I just needed to zone out. So,
Yeah, good.
Yep.
Good. Got to do that when you can. All right. Well, let's wrap. We will see you guys next week. Have a good week.
Yes, you too.
Now we're all going to be hyper focused on our habits. So
Yes.
if we come up with other quirks, we can talk about it next week.
For sure.
That's right. All
All
right.
right.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, ladies. Bye.
All right. Woo. Look. I got that wow. Who wants some hands up right now? We got that. Turn it up loud. I know you're wondering how. I got that wow. Here I go, coming. I can't ever stop. I'm a tour de force running. Get me to the top. I don't need an invitation. I'm about to start a celebration. Let me in. Brought a good time plus some friends. Turn it up loud past 10.